summons Phyllis Reid-Jarvis' ultimate potentials.
Well, good morning, everyone. Have been watered and fed? We can do better than that. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Oh, that's a little bit better. We need the energy up here, don't we?
We do.
Excellent. So as my fellow panelists here mentioned, customers are smarter today than they've ever been before. And what I'm here to share with you today is how, through leadership, we can tap into our employees and ensure that our super uber smart customers are getting the absolutely best products and services that your organizations can ever dream of offering them. So it is indeed a delight for me to be here. So I have a question that I'd like to ask you. How many of you have ever wanted to say something to someone, especially your boss, but you didn't because you feared a negative fallout? Picture of hands. How many of you? Okay, one person. Oh, two. 1 1/4. 3 and a bit. 2 and a bit. There you go. Beautiful. So I want to take you back to 1987. And there's a story that I want to share with you. And I want to introduce you to an employee. And that employee's name is Philip Brickell. And Philip worked at the London King's Cross subway station. Many of us have probably gone through that station at some point in our lives. And there's Philip doing what he does every day, taking tickets from commuters. When a commuter stopped him and told him there was a burning tissue at a nearby escalator and he should go and look at it. So I'm very curious to find out, quick show of hands, how many of you, your employees, would leave their assigned duties, their posts, to go and investigate an anomaly that's brought to their attention by one of your customers? Quick show of hands. How many of you have employees who would do that? All right, I see about 6-ish, 7-ish hands. Nothing on the stage here? A few of you? Okay, so that's exactly what Philip did. So he left his ticket-taking post and he went to investigate this burnt tissue. So he found it and he put it out. So let me ask you this again. What would your employees do after putting out that burning tissue? Quick show of hands here, I want to hear from you. What would your employees do after putting out that burning tissue? Who here has something to say? For those who put their hands up, what would your employees do? Sounds like nothing. Sounds like nothing. So I'm going to share with you what Philip did very shortly. But first, I want to tell you that for organizations to really manage the needs of their super uber smart customers, they need to develop their employees. And especially when you look at organizations in the Caribbean and globally, how are we going to manage and tap into this digital transformation, all the opportunities and challenges that come with it? And what I recommend is feedback, an ongoing process of feedback. And it's going to look something like this. Oh, this might be. Oh, there we go. Not too much energy. So in the 10, 15-ish minutes or so that Wendell has given me here, I'm going to look at the power behind providing employees with ongoing feedback. I'm going to look at the impact of ongoing feedback on teammates, as well as its impact on your top and bottom lines as organizations. And then I'm going to share with you the most important benefit of all, and it's really not the top and bottom line. The most important benefit of all is that your employees will gel as high-performing teams, and that will cause an an addition to your top and bottom lines. And then I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough of the feedback process. So I asked you earlier, what would your employees do after putting out the burning tissue? So Philip found the burning tissue, and he quickly put it out using a magazine. And he then went back to his post. He said nothing to anyone. He did not look around further to find out the source of the fire. He did not report it to his reporting manager. He said nothing to his teammates. And by now, you probably are not surprised to know he did not call the fire department. He went back to his post. So I need to unpack this a little for you, because you're probably thinking, why didn't he do any of those things? I would. Well, my question to you, would you really do anything? See, the organization in which Philip worked placed a lot of emphasis on positions and titles. And Philip had seen his employees, his fellow employees, put in their place for speaking out of scope of their position. He himself had likely been put in that position. And we know the saying, ladies and gentlemen, once bitten, can you finish it for me, please? Twice shy. So he did nothing. Further unpacking of the organization in which Philip worked, there were 5 organizational barriers that prevented him from investigating the source of that fire. And I want to quickly share those with you. Number 1, Philip's organization ensured that their people, their employees, stayed in their place. So they kept this really tight control over them. So employees don't want to step on anyone's toes in an organization that does not develop their people. And because of that, Philip did what he did. So at the London Underground subway station, a separate department was in charge of fire safety, and they were very strict. If you're not in the Department of Fire Safety, you have no right to say anything about our department. Does this ring a bell in any organization that you might have worked in before? I see a few heads nodding. And so because Philip knew that, he put the fire out and quietly went back to his ticket-taking post. Now it's interesting, see the saying that see something, say something, and do something did not exist at the time at the King's Cross station. So not stepping on anyone's toes, that's an organizational barrier to developing high-performing teams. The second organizational barrier is one in which leaders keep a tight control over making sure people stay in their places. And so because of this, if Philip had even gone and done any investigation, he would not have known what to do with it. Here's why. Because he would need authorization from a superior to approach someone who is above him. Now this does imply that if he needs authorization from his superiors, he and employees like himself, who are not formal leaders, are inferiors. Now I know some of you are sitting out there thinking, oh come on Phyllis, that's just a semantic. But you know what? Words matter. Quick show of hands. How many of you, if you were looking at a new hire and their letter of reference says, great team player, very innovative, what would you expect of that person? What would you expect? Anyone? Great team player?
Collaboration. Collaboration.
Collaboration. See, words matter. And so because of that, Philip did nothing. And again, tight chain of command. And when you look at why Philip just went back quietly to his place, you probably now are seeing probably what I would do myself. So let's look at the fourth organizational barrier to developing high-performing teams, and that is strict routines. So at his organization, they have this saying, never say out loud or refer to anything as a fire. And I encourage you now to think about your own organizations. What are the norms, those kind of routines that you are impressing on your own employees, and how is that helping them to develop as high-performing teams? It's a question I'd like for you to think about. And so the other organizational barrier to developing high-performing teams is governance by a set of rules. And that is having rules where no one has seen them. So your HR department expects people to behave and operate in a certain way, but they're not properly onboarded. They're not properly orientated, but they're expected to know these things. And we call this governance by a set of theories or unwritten rules. Hence, Philip put the fire out and quietly went back to his post. That is not serving our customers at our highest. So I want you to think about these three questions. Number one, if your people don't know their organizational why or their aspiration, how then can they successfully deliver what is expected of them? And the second question I'd like you to think about is, what is the supporting structure that enables your people to perform as high-performing teams? And then the third question I'd like you to think about is, what would motivate your people to go above and beyond their daily operational duties, and when they see something that they'll say something, and that they'll do something. So I'm getting my signal from Wendell, but I'm pretending I'm not seeing him right now. So what I'm going to do here is I'd like to kind of walk you through a few things that high-performing teams need. So they need an organizational structure, and within that phrase, organizational structure, a bunch of things that organizations must have in place, and they also need an organizational support. So Philip had felt supported, knowing that he would leave his ticket-taking post, go put a fire out that belonged to a different department's responsibilities, but if he knew he'd be supported, he would have followed through and done what was needed. And so again, it comes back to saying, if they're supported, if the structure's there, they'll see something, they'll say something, and they'll do something. So in order for us to harness the successes and smartly manage the challenges that the digital transformation brings, and for us to best meet the needs of our customers, we need to be providing ongoing feedback to our employees. And we're going to do this by, and these are some of the benefits here. I won't go through all of them, but feel free to take a picture of it. But what I'd like to do is just quickly show you the process. So the feedback process is very, very simple. It is comprised of 6 steps. Number 1, gather your facts. And so what Philip would have done is he would have put the fire out, then he would have looked further. True. Are you guys with me? Still awake? Is this thing on? You hear me? Okay. So that's what he would have done. He would have gotten some facts, and then collate that and present it to his reporting manager. The second step of the process asks us to seek permission. So as leaders, even if we are required to give feedback to our employees, it is critical that we ask a simple question of them, right? You say something like, John, may I just give you some feedback on that presentation that you've just provided? And that would be the same. So Philip would have asked his reporting manager for feedback, and the manager would have said yes, because it's an organization that provides support. And doing so is a sign of respect. Leaders and direct reports, they respect each other. So again, just a quick show of hands, how many of you are more likely to do something when you feel respected? Just a quick show of hands. Quite a few of you are in agreement. Absolutely. So the third step of the process is to acknowledge. And leaders are too quick to just go straight to what I call the jugular and start telling their employees what they did wrong, what didn't work. And the beauty of this process is that it encourages you to seek out something that your employees did well. And so when you do that, it actually builds their confidence, and it actually reduces the chance of them falling into a culture of silence and just staying in their place. Because if they do that, they're unable to serve the customer's needs at your organization's highest possible capabilities. And so acknowledge is the third process. The fourth process in the feedback process is when you call your employees in to give feedback, it is critical that you focus on a specific issue. Too often leaders will just go all over the place, and again that beats down your employees and it forces them into a place of silence. So they don't give you their best. They give you enough to stay employed so that they can just make it through the day. So here's what I mean. Quick caution here. When you're giving specific feedback, and especially when after you've done the acknowledgement, you want to ensure that you don't transition from the acknowledgement into criticism by saying, but. So you praise them, or you congratulate them for doing something well, and then you say, but. What would that do to you when you're being praised and then all of a sudden there's a but? It takes away from the power of what you've done well. And so I encourage you to transition by using a conjunction. And it's a simple word, and, A-N-D. So once you say what they've done well, you simply say, and in keeping in line with, and you go straight into the issue, right? Seems getting some head nods there, thank you for that. So we focus on that issue. And then the fifth step is identify solutions and agree. So if you notice how the process is very, very logical, and it's free and void of emotions, at least negative emotions. You want to keep your employees up. Identify solutions and agree, but you get your direct reports to speak first. So I know you have answers as leaders, but they too have amazing information inside of them. And if you give them this space where your organizational structure and support is very, very evident, you will get the absolute best out of your employees. And that's how they'll come up with solutions that you would never have thought about as leaders, especially your frontline workers. They're interfacing with your customers, and so they know a lot more than you do about what customers are saying and what the customer's pain points are. And then the final step in the process is follow through and follow up. And this will close the feedback process, close that loop. So what do? You ensure that they tell you when they'll start, and you ensure you set a time for them and you to get together and for you to follow up and ensure ongoing progress and that they're performing at a high level. So I just want to close here by saying 3 things that high-performing teams need in order for your organizations to truly meet the needs of your customers. A management system needs to be in place. And again, under this, there are a bunch of things that you must have in place in order to support teams who are high-performing. You also need to ensure that there's ongoing coaching. And there's a way that coaching is done. It's not just telling people what to do, but it's ensuring you're pulling out the best from your people. And then the third need for high-performing teams is that your organizational culture is one that needs to be cultivated so that it just breathes it, like it's just, we are high-performing. And so you enter your organization, people will feel it, it's palpable. And when we do this, your employees now, when they see something, they will, come on, you know it, they'll do something, they'll say something, and they'll do something. And so these are 2 questions I'd like to leave you with. What are the behaviors that you're practicing as leaders that's reinforcing for your employees, and whether these behaviors are indeed conducive to developing your employees into high-performing teams so that you can excel in this digital transformation. Thank you so much for this time, and I welcome any questions later on.